Wait a second. Aaron just said, "Oh God, come over here and help," and obviously you didn't mean me.
Well, this one's going.
News Radio 710 Keel, professional broadcasting at its apogee. News Radio 710 Keel, Robert J. Wright and Aaron McCarty on the far side of the kidney-shaped broadcast table with his head in Aaron's lap. What the hell are you doing?
Trying to get a raise, man.
Robert J. Wright and Aaron McCarty, and frantically dashing around the room, the one, the only, Gary, the computer fixer Watson.
Thank you, Mr. Gary.
Good morning, Mr. Elliot. How are you this morning?
Fine. How about y'all?
Joining us for a quick moment or two is political analyst Elliot Stonecipher. Okay, so when I misquoted the headline of your latest article at forward-now.com, I said that I said insidious new tax, but actually I think your headline said nasty new tax, right?
It did. It said nasty.
I apologize for putting words in your mouth.
That's quite all right.
You're talking about the Centerpoint Energy franchise fee / tax. Some don't want to call it a tax.
Yeah.
Come on.
Yeah. No kidding. It is. It is a tax that at a 2% level has long been on the books. This is a utility company tax the city levies, and just because they can, basically. It's 2%. Suddenly, out of nowhere, back in mid-May, a couple of weeks ago, we have a city council meeting and find out it's being raised, or at least that the administration of Mayor Tyler wants to raise it, to 5% and extend its term from 10 to 25.
Now, why do they want? What's the reasoning for wanting to raise this? I mean, we've gotten reasons from we've heard from them and their reasons. We've heard from Centerpoint why it may not be the best idea in the world, but they seem to be going along. What do you think?
Well, I mean, it's very simple. It's about $2.5 million more for the city, and it's a way they can tax us and draw a utility company in, for political cover, Centerpoint in this case. Centerpoint told the Times and has told others they didn't want anything to do with the increase. Mm-mm. Councilman Oliver Jenkins is the one who, after apparently the audit subcommittee of the council had taken a look at this, the opening volley was from Councilman Jenkins, and his motion, very simply, would have stopped this thing where it started. You would have left it at 2%.
That didn't go very far, did it?
It didn't. There were only 2 votes. He voted for it. Michael Corbin voted for it. The other 5 members of the council voted against it.
I.e., by voting against, they were voting for the tax.
For the tax, the maximum tax.
Where is it now? Because I know there, the what is it called? The Opelousas raised theirs earlier this year to 4%.
Most favored nation status.
But Opelousas
clause
has a clause in theirs that says if anybody goes above 4%, we're doing the same. Yeah. We put the same clause in ours. Now, we're the first one to go above that 4% mark. Centerpoint's not happy.
Well, look, and the broader picture is that we're not Opelousas. Opelousas has a absolute pittance of taxes that Shreveporters pay. The real context here is, as I wrote in my piece, it used to be the story from politicians was if it twitches, tax it. In Shreveport, they didn't give this one a chance to twitch. They taxed Centerpoint, in essence. They're going to make them collect the tax and give the city government the money. They taxed them when they didn't even know, Centerpoint didn't know it was coming. They had no clue. So you have an autocratic and out of control local government which reaches out to an important community partner and says, oh, by the way, you guys are going to collect 5%, not 2%. You're going to do it for 25 years, not 10 years. And Centerpoint is left going, now, wait a minute, what are we going to do? Tell the truth and tell the public how outrageous this is? Or are we going to have to try to find a way to play ball? My point is, you don't hurt Centerpoint and you don't hurt the people of Shreveport. Government here has to cut spending. You cut the spending by cutting the taxes. It's simple. You starve the spending. If we want to do this, we've got to get Councilman Jenkins to go back through, stick with this thing some more, and get it back to freezing it right where it is. But, y'all, for that to happen, people in Shreveport have to call their councilman. 5 out of 7 are raising their taxes. Nobody got a chance to come to the meeting and object. People in Shreveport are going to have to call their councilman and say, stop this craziness. Y'all are going to kill this city with your damned taxes.
Elliot, you said a couple of seconds ago, you said the autocratic city government. Let's pretend for a second that I'm Mayor Ollie Tyler and I'm here on the phone with you and I'm saying, but Elliot, I'm not autocratic. We're not an autocratic government. Convince me that I am.
Hey, I don't have to convince anybody. It's very simple. Did any of us know this was happening in that city council meeting?
Mm-mm.
Did I have a chance to go down there and say, what, have y'all lost your minds? Nope. Look, you either have open and transparent government or you have government that sneaks and cheats and lies and steals. Which one do we think we have?
But Elliot, I can't drive on our roads without tearing my car up. We've got water systems that have to be fixed. We're under a mandate from the federal government. We got to pay for it, buddy. Where are we going to get that money?
Aaron, that's the cheap way out of this argument.
Okay.
Here's the honest way. Do the homework to find out how much money they are blowing through. That's not what this is about. If we right-size Shreveport city government, which means a lot of people are not going to have their jobs, I admit that, but a lot of them could retire. If we right-size it, we don't have to kill the city with taxes to fix the roads. That is insanity. There's no reason for that. We are blowing through over $400 million a year.
Ooh.
And that's just the city budget. That's not the school board's $500 million. That's not a couple of $100 million more over at the Caddo Commission. We got enough money to have an outstanding city and parish, but we don't because the money is going places it shouldn't, and that's simply a fact. We haven't had a population growth here of any consequence since the mid-1980s. Parish-wide, we're down over 12,000 people.
And how much has the budget gone up over those years?
Over 100% after inflation. That's how much government spending is up.
Mm.
And
my blood pressure and yours is up, right, as usual.
Yeah, and look, here's what it's all about. There's no downside risk to government officials here taxing us to death. Who's going to call them on it? That's an honest question. Who's going to call them on it? That's the news media's job.
Mm-hmm.
Where are we?
We're working on it. We're working on it.
News Radio 710 Keel political analyst Elliot Stonecipher. By the way, the column we're talking about is at forward-now.com, and he talks about what he calls the nasty, the sneaky, my word, the insidious new tax.
Fired up.
Robert J. Wright, Aaron McCarty. Let's see, local news at the bottom of the hour. Fletcher, Chris D, and sports up next here on Keel.